During training camp, the Denver Broncos are going to be looking for players to make an impact on their defensive line, and the player who's expected to make the biggest impact is Zach Allen. Allen was signed to the Denver Broncos in free agency to a 3-year, $45.5 million deal as our replacement to Draymond Jones. The defensive line is going to be a position that's going to be under the microscope for the Denver Broncos because we really need guys to step up to the plate there, and Zach Allen, considering how much money we're paying him, needs to be the alpha in that unit. A recent article from DenverBroncos.com lead writer Eric Dalala explored what Allen looks to provide for the Denver Broncos during this season and what we should look for him to produce during training camp. Here is what we know about Allen. The Broncos' big move in free agency on the defensive side of the ball came as the team signed Allen in free agency. The former Arizona Cardinal, who will replace Draymond Jones in Denver, posted a career-high 5.5 sacks in 2022 as he played for defensive coordinator Vance Joseph in Arizona. I think Vance is one of the best coaches in the NFL, and I was really fortunate to be with him for 4 years. If you have a chance to make it 5, 6, 7 years, then you're going to do that. I'm a believer in his stuff, in his coaching style. At this point, he's just a really good friend. Now, I feel like there are really two reasons why Zach Allen's performance is going to be put under a bit of a microscope during training camp. The first one is obvious. He's got some big shoes to fill in Draymond Jones, who was having the best season of his career last year before he signed his big lucrative deal with Seattle. The Broncos ultimately chose to take a little bit of a cheaper route and pay a player who may not quite have the same production level as Draymond Jones, but he also didn't cost quite as much either. Given Zach Allen's familiarity in this defensive scheme, that also probably gave him the leg up on Draymond Jones. It was really a cost-effective maneuver for the Denver Broncos to sign Zach Allen over Draymond Jones, but I honestly took a look at Zach Allen's tape when we first signed him, and I was somewhat disappointed at what I saw. Especially on early downs, he didn't really make much of an impact in the run game, and on passing downs, yeah, he did accumulate sacks, but a couple of those sacks were because J.J. Watt had induced pressure, and Allen was there just to clean things up. Now, the Broncos do have a lot of pressure generators on the edge, Baron Browning, Frank Clark, and Randy Gregory. So if it is a situation where basically he has to clean up the pressure from those three guys, then I feel like Zach Allen can thrive in that role. But in terms of generating his own pressure, I was a little disappointed at what I saw, honestly. He wasn't consistently winning at the line of scrimmage. He was routinely getting washed out in the run game. I want to be paying attention in training camp to Zach Allen in particular because I want to see if those issues continue to linger here in Denver. Now, during camp, we're not going to get a fair evaluation of Zach Allen or any of the other trench players until the pads come on, but it has already been announced that the Broncos are going to play their starters in the preseason, and they're going to play them quite a bit. So I imagine we should see some significant action for Zach Allen before the regular season starts. That'll give us a clue if those issues that I mentioned earlier with Zach Allen in Arizona are going to linger here in Denver. Zach Allen is really going to have to step up because not only is he our highest paid interior defensive lineman, it's really just him and DJ Jones that are expected to carry the bulk of the weight here, and it's a little bit frustrating when you take a look at the depth for the Denver Broncos on their interior defensive line because I really feel like they're asking a lot out of players such as Zach Allen and DJ Jones. So jumping in over here to our defensive line depth chart, we've got Zach Allen and Matt Henningsen as our two primary defensive ends. And Zach Allen obviously is going to be asked to carry the bulk of the weight here because Matt Henningsen did do some nice stuff last year. And behind him are guys such as Jonathan Harris and Ioma Uwazurike. Those guys are fairly unproven commodities for the most part, and they're not expected to provide elite level play on the defensive line. Zach Allen is going to have to provide a lot of good plays in order to compensate for having at least a somewhat weaker unit alongside him in somebody like Matt Henningsen. Overall, I don't really feel confident completely about the Denver Broncos' depth on the defensive line, and not knocking Zach Allen here because I do think he's going to be our most productive player. We did ultimately choose to let Draymond Jones walk away, and he could have maybe better compensated for some of our flaws on our defensive line. The Broncos still have a chance to right this wrong. They could bring back Shelby Harris, and that would instantly make me feel a lot better about our defensive line. But right now, I have some serious question marks about this unit, and one of those question marks is, will Zach Allen be able to play up to the level that the Denver Broncos, quite frankly, need him to play in his first season here? So besides defensive line, Broncos country, what position groups are you going to be keeping an eye on as we go into training camp? I definitely am going to be keeping an eye on the wide receiving group just to see who emerges as the top target for Russell Wilson, and the offensive line as well, to see how the key free agent signings in Mike McGlinchey and Ben Powers hold up. But overall, my biggest concern for the Denver Broncos right now is probably their defensive line, and Zach Allen is one of the many questions that I have about that. So I'm curious about your thoughts on this, Broncos country. Drop those comments down below. I would love to hear your thoughts as always. Be sure to leave a like on this video as well as subscribe and ring the bell so these videos appear in your notification feed. I would really appreciate it, guys. Those are two free and easy ways to show your support. It helps tell YouTube's algorithm to push us out to fellow members of Broncos country just like you and me. And until next time, guys, this has been another episode of Denver Broncos Syndicate. I am your host, Gage Madrid, saying peace out.